What's up, everyone? Welcome into Dodger Heads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, and this is your home for the 2020 World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Today, we have an awesome show for you. Alex Vesia, left-handed pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, is joining us on the show, and I have to say, he's one of the newest Dodgers. It's a guy that I didn't know a ton about. I'm sure most of you haven't learned a ton about yet, but let me tell you, his story is amazing. This is one of the best interviews that I've gotten a chance to do, just to hear his story as a guy who was undrafted out of high school, Division II baseball player at a school that hadn't put a major leaguer out in 30 years, 17th round pick of the Marlins. He's got some amazing stories about that journey, about playing summer ball in Alaska at midnight. He's got stories about what happened when he found out he was traded. What was the first thing he thought of when he heard he was traded from the Marlins to the Dodgers? All sorts of good stuff. So I definitely encourage you, check this out. You're going to love Alex Vesia. He's definitely going to be a guy that you want to root for this season. So here it is. Here's my interview with Alex Vesia. All right, we are joined by Alex Vesia, one of the newest members of the Dodger bullpen. Alex, I know spring training, you've got a lot going on. I appreciate your time. I guess I'll start. How are you enjoying things down in Arizona?
Jeff, it's great to be here, man. Thank you. It's cool. I've been able to this past week. I kind of like take a deep breath and get familiar with everything, establish a routine and stuff. And it's been really good so far.
Awesome. Well, as I was prepping for this, I shared with you a little bit. I was looking over your career, and I'm always drawn to stories that are interesting, maybe stories that don't kind of follow the traditional path. And just looking at yours, you're a guy who was undrafted out of high school. You go to a D2 school that hasn't had a guy play in the majors for like 30 years before you. You're playing seasons in, you got summer ball in Alaska. You're picked in the 17th round, and now you're a big league player. So I'll sort of give you as much time, but talk me through kind of the process of high school, not getting drafted, D2, and now you're a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah. So I'll start at like freshman year of high school. I had a counselor who kind of asked me what I wanted to do in life, really, and didn't really know. I loved riding my motorcycle. Right, I'm big into off-road stuff. That's my dad does that and everything. So I like doing that. But I really enjoyed playing baseball. I like pitching. I like being up on the mound. That was something that, I had told him, and he was like, what are some goals? And at that point I didn't really have like a direct path. Yeah. He talked about college. I'm not very good with school. I've never really been, I've got a couple different, learning disability, stuff like that. So I didn't really think I could get into college. And he kind of told me, he was like, if you can get a 3.0 GPA and score relatively, good on the SAT, ACT, you could get into college. And I was like, no, there's no way. So sophomore year, junior year, senior year, I ended up, I had a 3.2. And then I don't even remember what my SAT score was, but I was able to get into Cal State East Bay, which was my only offer to play baseball. That was it. Wow. That was the only thing. Nobody else had given me a scholarship or offered or talked to a couple junior colleges, but I kind of wanted to get away from San Diego and just start my life, kind of get in everything. And, from there, my freshman year of college, I didn't really think I was going to start. I was told in our December meetings that I might get 10, 15 innings on the year. And that was totally cool with me because I didn't throw hard in high school. I was 82, 83, maybe 84. My freshman year of college, I was 84, 85. And I was just like wanting to learn, you know what I mean? College was at that point was a really big step for me. It was a very big decision for me and my parents, and the first weekend of opening day or whatever, they were like, here's the ball, go get us a win. Wow. And that was great. It was I think I had seven innings or something like that. I pitched it, and ever since then I was like, okay, like here we go. This is sweet. I ended up getting freshman of the year for the conference, and our head coach Bob Ralston is his name. He brought me into his office at the end of the year, and he was all, if you could touch 90, you could get drafted.
Wow.
And that was the first time
I
anybody
was
has
going to
ever
ask,
even.
like, along the line, are you still thinking, like, when you get one offer to a D2 school, are you still thinking to yourself, I can make the major leagues?
No, that was not that. I mean, wasn't really a thought. My biggest thing was to get the scholarship
Got
to
it.
go to school. That was my, like, for my parents, that helped them out tremendously. I had a pretty good scholarship to East Bay. They were, they were like, go. You're not going to get a better offer than this. This can help us, help you through school. You'll get a degree, all that stuff. Because at the time I was still throwing 85.
Yeah.
And then over the course of my freshman year, I gained 5, 10, 15 pounds, somewhere in there. And then I think I topped out at 87, 88, which was great. I went and played summer ball for the Mankato Moondogs. I had 2 or 3 starts there. I had touched 90 for the first time, which was a big goal of mine.
Sure.
And so then my sophomore year, I was 88 to 90. I did well then. Junior year, I definitely thought like I had a decent shot of getting drafted. Things just kind of didn't really like go my way. I faced a lot of adversity and stuff. And, that had passed. I didn't get drafted, and I really had to look myself in the mirror and, ask myself, like, is this really what I want to do?
Yeah.
So I took like 2 weeks off, because the summer ball that I was going to, which was Alaska, the Gold Panners, there was a little break. And after 2 weeks, I was like itching to get back out on the baseball field. So it was a really, easy, decision. I went out there, the coaching staff and everybody out there, were great. I figured some stuff out with my mechanics and just got to play and have some fun. I was out there with one of my best friends, and we absolutely dominated that whole, league. It was great. And it really set me up for like a great senior year. I ended up, getting a whole bunch of different like accolades for all the stuff that I accomplished, and ended up getting drafted 17th round to the Marlins, and every single scout and stuff, they asked me what my goals were, and I just said, give me the opportunity to play minor league baseball. Like, give me that opportunity. I'm going to run with it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the 2019 season, I started in low A, Clinton Lumber Kings, which were it was so cold playing there, man. Oh my gosh. It was snowing. We had all the heaters out and stuff. That the All-Star
not exactly
break,
not exactly a pitcher's dream,
no.
huh?
Oh, my arm felt like needles. It was, oh my gosh, it was brutal. So at the All-Star break, I got called up to high A. And then after spending 1 month there, I went to double A. And then after the season was over, I went to the Arizona Fall League. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to ask, like, I was looking at, I've never heard of the Alaska Summer Baseball League, and you joked about how you dominated it. I mean, like, is this, tell me give me the best story you have about playing summer baseball. I've been to Alaska in the summer, so you got like basically 24 hours of sunlight, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like, give me your best Alaska summer baseball story that just gives me a sense of exactly what's going on in the Summer Baseball League of Alaska.
Okay. I got the perfect story for you. So it's called the Midnight Sun Game. And I pitched that game.
Love it.
Right. It was on TV or it was streamed or something. And yeah, that was the coolest thing.
It's at midnight and it's perfectly bright outside.
Oh yeah. It was amazing. It was super cool. That was a memory that I will always remember, because when the game was done, it was like 3 a.m. and I felt really tired, but it's light outside. Like
it'll mess with you up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and so you get drafted after your senior year. I mean, you're dominating, but it's D2, and I know baseball's different. So like we're going into the draft. If you had told you, hey, you're going to get picked in the 17th round, like, is that about where you thought you might come off the board? Were you worried that you might not get drafted at all? Did you think you had a chance to go higher? Obviously you're a senior, which complicates things because of like different draft, leverage that you would have, that kind of thing. So 17th round, I mean, obviously you're pleased to have been drafted, but did that feel right to you as far as where you thought you deserved to go?
So I had no standard of what round. I guess the standard was to go in a round, right? I didn't want to sign as a free agent.
Got it.
Even though that's not a bad thing either. Like, I just wanted to get drafted. I wanted to see my name come up on the board, and you know, that was just something that I've always pictured in my head as such an amazing, you know, time as a baseball player. And I mean, basically, when I saw my name get called, like, I like looked at it and I like read it, and it said like Alex Vesia, Cal State East Bay, and I was like, dang, I didn't go then. And then I was like, wait a second, that's me. And then all my friends were behind me, and yeah, it was really cool. I was stressing out hard because that was my goal. You know what I mean? That was such a big goal for me. And that's something of mine, that like goal setting, like having all those different goals and stuff. Like, that's how I operate. You can ask pretty much any one of my friends that, you know, I move in a specific way, and it just works for me, I guess. But
well, and I mean, it must, right? Because you're sitting as a freshman in high school and saying, I want to go to college, and you accomplish that. Now, maybe it's D2, and maybe that's not how you dreamed it up initially, but you get there, and then you're like, I just want to get drafted. And then you get drafted in the 17th round. I'm imagining the next goal is, I just want to make the major leagues. And here you are in 2020, and you're in the major leagues, 5 appearances. So like, what have you, I guess, looking at 2020 in particular, I know it probably didn't go exactly as you had hoped it would have gone at the major league
level. Not at all.
But what did you learn about yourself in those 5 appearances? And kind of how has that carried over into this offseason as far as improving yourself? Like, maybe what's the next goal for you? You've made the major league. So what's the next goal for you?
So the 2020 season, a lot of stopping, a lot of starting, right? Yeah. So you go through spring training.
And you were on the Marlins of all teams, the team that dealt with the starting and stopping more than anybody else.
I was one of them. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. So you stop, you go through, you know, months of the unknown, right? I'm still working out. I'm still throwing. I come home, and on that Monday, I told my mom and dad, I was like, look, I need to make our little like pool house into a gym. And they're like looking at me like, what? I said, everything's going to get shut down in California. I need to have a squat rack. I need to have some dumbbells, kettlebells, whatever, to be doing some type of baseball activity, getting stronger, whatever. And they're like, okay, go do it. Right. So I went to Dick's Sporting Goods. I called over the manager. I said, I'm not looking, I'm buying. And he like looks at me like, what? And I was like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And he, you know, he like takes his ear things out. He's like, okay, I'll help you out. And like, we just, you know, I bought a whole bunch of stuff because I knew that like the opportunity that I had, I did not want it to pass by. You know what I mean? I want to be as prepared as I possibly could. You know, I end up pitching in Atlanta, and they bring me into the coach's office and tell me that I just made the team. And, you know, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah.
You know, it's for me, it was a great feeling. But like the best feeling of all, honestly, is I went to go take a shower. Right, I'm putting on my clothes and getting ready to go on the bus to go catch a flight to Philly. And one of our media guys goes, hey, come here. I have something for you to sign, blah, 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 right? And he turns the iPad to me, and it's my parents and my sister. And I lost it, dude. I was bawling because, like, they have been behind me forever. You know what I mean? Missing birthdays, family parties, just anything you could name. They've always been behind me with baseball. Yeah. You know, my sister, she doesn't really like baseball because that's all we talk about is baseball. So obviously she does like it, but there's times, you know, she'll, you know, but that was such a big part. And I think that was the most special moment for me, was seeing that, you know, they're all crying and stuff. And so we get to Philly, I make my debut. I pitch and, you know, nervous. You face Didi Gregorius for, first batter. And then the next day I test positive for COVID. So it's like, I go from the all-time high to now like a low where it's like, I don't know how this is going to affect my body. I don't know, super unknown. I end up staying in the hotel for 26 days. We brutal. If it wasn't for video games, I don't know if I would have survived, because it was just
26 days,
day in and day out. Like, yeah, you couldn't leave your hotel room. Nothing. We had food that was delivered to us or DoorDash or stuff like that. But, I'd look outside and it's a beautiful day and I can't go outside. Like it's mentally, you got to be tough. So, and then I think it was like 10 or 12 days later, I get called back up to the big leagues. And I'm thrown into different situations that, it's tough.
Yeah, well, one of the games, like the Atlanta game, it was like 20 something to 6 when you come into the game. Yeah. I mean, that can't be a pitcher's dream scenario to walk into.
Not at all.
Not to mention the guys that were due up. It's like
that. Yeah.
Right, and it's like Acuna and Freeman due up. I mean, not exactly a position to succeed.
Yeah. So obviously there's a bunch of negative, very little positive, but like I looked back and I watch all those at bats and try to take the most from those, right? I wasn't feeling my absolute best. I was working through, mechanical stuff, arm strength issues, just everything. Sitting in a hotel for that long, I don't want to make excuses or anything. Obviously, I should have performed a lot better than I did. But I think all of those negative things that had happened, it really made me grow, because I got to like really understand myself and what my arsenal can be at, top performance. And going into the off season, I knew what I needed to work on and getting stronger, getting, on back to myself.
Yeah.
And that was something that was huge. I mean, I got home first day, squat rack, getting, lifting a bunch of weight and feeling like myself. So that was really, really nice. It, just kind of starting over, taking a deep breath and then focusing, on the forward, on always, getting better. So yeah. And then I go out to Florida 2-3 weeks early to just get acclimated with everything, work with pitching coordinators, this and that. I threw a live, and then the next day I'm at the complex, everything's cool. Get my workout in for the day, throwing. I go back to my buddy's place that I'm staying at. I get one Call of Duty game in, right? So I'm playing, and then all of a sudden a number pops up on my phone. I was like, what the heck? And, I answer it, and, a personnel from the Marlins goes, Alex, like, we're sorry to tell you this, but we're also, happy to tell you this, but like, you got traded. And I was like, what? It's like, what do you mean I got traded? And he goes, yeah, you got traded. I was like, to who? And he was like, the Dodgers. I was like, the Dodgers? I was like, oh my gosh. All right. Like, I was speechless. I couldn't, no idea. First time ever getting traded. I never even thought I was going to get traded, at least this year. So yeah, it was.
And so is that an exciting moment, a stressful moment? I mean, you're a California guy. You grew up in San Diego area. You went to school in the Bay Area. So, I mean, what's going through your mind? You say you're speechless, and then it's like, okay, I'm going from the Marlins. Now I'm on the Dodgers. Like, is that exciting to you? Is that stressful to you? Like, where does your mind go first?
You're going to laugh at this one. So I had just bought a truck in Tampa.
You're like, what do I do with it?
My first big boy purchase, whatever, right? And I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to redo all of that paperwork I just got done signing.
It's the most relatable moment.
And that was like my first instinct. I was like, oh my gosh. So then I called my mom. She was at Costco, and she's like screaming, oh my gosh, this is awesome, right?
Yeah,
and
she's going to get to go to all your games.
Yeah. Same with, I called my dad. He was busy with a client. And I go, hey Dad, how's it going? He goes like, hey, so I have a client, blah, blah. I said, no. I need to talk to you right now. He's like, no, let me call you back 15 minutes. And I just screamed it in the phone. I got traded to the Dodgers. And he's like, so and so, hold on, what?
Yeah.
And it was, oh my gosh, it was so funny. So,
now, did you grow up? Did you grow up a
yeah,
Padres fan? Did you grow up a Dodgers fan?
I not
Okay.
anything in particular. Like,
Okay. So it's sort of a
really
homecoming
neutral.
geographically, but like as far as the team wise, the Dodgers not necessarily like, like something
No,
personal,
like
super special.
right, nothing crazy. Like the only thing I really thought about was I did a pre-draft workout at Dodger Stadium
Okay.
in 2018, and I threw on the mound at Dodger Stadium, and I was like, oh man, I felt really good at that mound. I can't wait to go back there. So that was a thought that was in my head. I was like, this is
That's awesome.
cool. So called my girlfriend. She didn't believe me. She's like, what? What do you mean? I was like, I'm coming to Arizona, first of all, for spring training, and then I'll be in LA an hour away from you. She was like, all right, this is sweet. So that was cool. Called my agent. He what? What do you mean? And I was like, I don't know. So, and then I was waiting kind of just for more people to call me. And then it got to Twitter,
Okay.
right?
I was going to say, yeah.
It got to
At
Twitter.
least you found out from personnel and not Twitter, because some guys find out they're traded
Right.
on Twitter.
Right. Which I am thankful for that. That was really, really nice. Like I did like that. But I was under the impression that I was at like a secondary part to a
Right.
trade.
Not like the headline guy coming from
Not
the
like
Marlins to the Dodgers.
not like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is cool. So that was really, really interesting for me because I thought I was like a secondary, like, oh,
Yeah.
so and so, and then this guy.
Like, yeah.
So
You're thinking like I'm the player to be named later in this trade or something
yeah.
like that. And instead it's like Dylan Floro for Alex Vesia. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so along those lines, again, I want to get to pitching stuff here in a second, but
Sure.
the last question. I mean, what's it like going from a team like the Marlins? And this is no disrespect to them, but to a team that's in the midst of a rebuild, to a team which in some ways, as a young guy, maybe helps you because maybe you get an opportunity with the Marlins that in other organizations might be more difficult. And you go from that situation to going, oh man, now I'm going to the defending champs, to the Dodgers, who are as deep and talented as any team, like maybe ever, basically.
Sure.
So mentally for you, like, what's that transition like to be like, okay, I'm going from a rebuild to a team that like is the favorite to win the World Series?
Right. I mean,
it's got to be, I'm guessing it's complicated because on one hand, you're like the Marlins, there's a clear path to playing time and your expectations are different. Whereas now you're going to a new organization that you're like, well, I don't necessarily maybe know where I stack up in this group. And is it going to be a minor league season? Is it going to be a major league season? That kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think like with the Marlins and stuff, they had told us that there's very big opportunity to move up in the system. Right. And for me, I was like, okay, like, seems like there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Right. And now, being around all the Dodgers, all the players, all the personnel, coaching staff, all that stuff. Right. I'm able to like really, really like nitpick who I am as a pitcher. Right. I'm not saying that I couldn't have done that with the Marlins. Right. I absolutely could, but I'm here for a reason, and they are helping me figure out the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And I really like it. It's been a great opportunity already. Just speaking and talking with everybody. It is hard to explain because you're right. I don't really know like where I'm at, but I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like
totally.
I believe that whatever plan that the Dodgers have for me, right, we are executing that daily.
That's awesome.
Right. Through conversation, through bullpen work, through sides, through just like every day I get a little bit like a little better taste of where they want me at, what they want me to do, and how they want me to perform as a pitcher.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a good feeling. It's good to be wanted. It's good to, and I'm not taking away anything that the Marlins have ever done because, I mean, to me, they've developed me to this point.
Yeah.
Now, the Dodgers are taking me to another step that, I'm just looking forward to learning. I feel like there's all the information in the world. The guys around are, amazing. So it's been really, really nice, really welcoming. And I feel like myself, and, that's a good feeling.
It's awesome. Well, I mean, looking at your pitching history, the thing I think that jumps out to me the most are the strikeout numbers. So rookie ball in 2018, you're striking out a little under a batter an inning. I know that's a small sample size. That's kind of in line with your college numbers. Obviously, you're a starter then. All of a sudden, 2018, you're in low A. A couple levels in 2019, your strikeouts per 9 jumps up to like 13 or 14 per inning. So what from your perspective, what changed? Like, how did you go from a strikeout an inning guy to like a strikeout and a half an inning guy? Because that's a huge jump and a big deal for a reliever.
I mean, so you go through college and there's no data. There's no analytics.
Especially not D2, I'm imagining.
Especially not D2, right? I'm not taking away anything from Division II baseball, but there's a jump. There's a difference, right? And you have to be able to adapt and not overcomplicate when you get that data, right? If I was, if I got the same data that I got in 2019, if I did that or got that in any point of my career in college, I don't think I could have handled it. And it's just because the way it was taught, the way it was presented to me, like going out on and competing was still the same. But now I just understand what my ball does out of my hand.
Okay. I was going to ask what that information was. Is it like spin rate stuff and kind of, hey, we want you throwing at the top of the zone versus the bottom of the zone? Is it that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. It's where my, like, the sample size grows and grows and grows. And then there's a trend, right? Everybody has their different attributes, if that's what I think that you want to call them, that make everybody different, right? Whether you release it from high or low or, left, right, where you stand on the rubber, all that stuff. And then it's execution on top of that, where in 2019, things are clicking mechanically. I make one little mechanical adjustment where I move my foot in like half an inch. I don't even know if it really moved half an inch. It could have just been my thought process. And instead of the ball going, out and away, now it's right down Broadway. And I'm like, okay, I like that feeling, and you just build on it and you keep building and you keep building. And that was something that kind of, it clicks.
Yeah.
And, I just felt like as a Division II baseball player, when I asked my coaches, like, hey, what do I need to work on? And they say, no, you're good. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm good? Like, there's nothing I can work on? Nope, stay right there. You're pitching just how we want you to. And you hit that ceiling, right? And then you get drafted, and then, the 2-3 pitching coordinators come up to you and, hey, try this, think of this. Now your ceiling's higher. Now you got to work towards that. And you set little goals for yourself. And that's kind of what I did. My only goal for 2019 was to break with low A in like Clinton. I didn't want to get stuck in extended.
Yeah.
And that was my only goal. I didn't care if I was starting. I didn't care if I was relieving, because I was kind of in the middle. They didn't know if they wanted me as a starter or a reliever. I don't really care. Give me the ball. I'll get 3 outs. Like, that's as simple as I'll put it. But yeah, it's interesting when you get the information to where your strengths are, and then you believe in your strengths and really like hone in on that. You can definitely do some special things with it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of strengths, I'm not sure if you saw this. Someone tweeted this out right after the trade, that your 4-seam fastball averaged the most vertical movement of any pitcher compared to average of any pitcher in all of baseball. So you were number 1, Trevor Bauer's number 2, Walker Buehler's number 4 on vertical movement of your fastball. Is that something that comes natural to you? Or, I mean, I read a quote that you say, hey, I just grip it and rip it. I mean, is it as simple as that? Or like, are you intentionally leaning into this vertical movement of your 4-seam fastball?
When I say that, is that, like, I don't I don't try to do anything different. I
Yeah.
grip the fastball, normal. I watched a YouTube video on Max Scherzer a while ago where his thumb is like, pretty much underneath the ball. And I had practiced that and I was like, okay, like this is interesting. A few balls like, just skyrocketed out of my hand. But like over time, I developed a good feel for it. And I do grip it and rip it. I try to throw it as hard as I can, whether it's 90 or 94 or 95. But yeah, it's just living, that upper quadrant, trying to get the swing and misses, and then the change up off of that is something that I'm confident with. And the slider has been something that I've been developing.
Yeah.
And that's slowly but surely getting better. So.
That's awesome. Well, one more question and then some rapid fire to close. You talk about goals, you talk about evaluating. Just short term, this spring, what are the things you're looking for from yourself? I mean, just as Dodger fans are watching you, how can maybe they track along and say, all right, what is Alex wanting for himself over the next month and a half? And what are you looking for as far as evaluating yourself this spring?
So one of my biggest things is to compete, right? Just get out there and give it my all, knowing that I'm not holding anything back. Right. Yeah. I'm not thinking about mechanics. I'm not thinking about pitch design. I'm not thinking anything other than getting the guy out who's up to the plate. Yeah. Like that's it. Really, it's putting up zeros and executing pitches, right? I try to keep things pretty simple.
Yeah.
Because when you start to overthink and overanalyze and, all that stuff, that like, it doesn't work for me.
Got it.
Right. And I, I'm my best when I'm feeling confident and you kind of see my tempo get a little bit, it starts to pick up and people say, oh, he works way too fast, this and that. I'm like, I feel like I'm just getting in my groove,
Yeah.
It's just kind of feeling that flow and working with the catcher and stuff like that. Like, it just they'll start to click and just being positive. And I feel like I really don't have anything to lose. I have a whole bunch of people to lean back on if I have any questions. You know what I mean? So it's definitely I'm really looking forward to getting things going and feeling good out on the mound. And I feel like we're definitely in the right position. So yeah, keeping it simple, really.
Love it. Well, I got a few rapid fires and then we'll be done. So first one, do you have a favorite player or pitcher sort of growing up that maybe you modeled your game after a little bit? I mean, I left-handed pitcher. So is there somebody that kind of
CC Sabathia, 100%.
Okay. Love it. Okay. When you knew you were coming to the Dodgers, was there a pitcher in the organization that you were like sort of excited to interact with, maybe pick their brain, learn from?
Bueller, Price, Kershaw, Bauer, Jansen, everybody. Everybody.
And I guess as a lefty, it's kind of nice, right? Because you've got, a couple of the best left-handed pitchers to throw in the major leagues in the last, decade and a half. So it's not a bad place to go. Okay. Number 51. That's the number you're wearing with the Dodgers, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there significance there? Story behind it?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. Last question. And we kind of referenced this already. You have played for teams that are called the Moondogs, the Gold Panners, the Muck Dogs, the Lumber Kings, the Hammerheads, the Jumbo Shrimp, and the River Rafters. Those are all real names of teams. So I have to ask, which of those had the best or worst logo uniform setup?
Ooh, the best?
I mean, some of the names, I don't even believe those are real names other than that they apparently exist online.
So I don't want to call it the worst because I actually really liked it, but we were the Elotes. I think that's how you pronounce it. That was Loe and Clinton, right?
Okay.
But it was these bright pink with like green and yellow with the like pink hat. You could see us from the moon. That's how bright we were. It was unbelievable. But the best was Jacksonville, the Jumbo Shrimp, those uniforms, the fan base. They had like the dollar beer nights on Thursdays or was it college night on Thursday, whatever it was. The place was packed. It was unbelievable. Yeah. That was cool. I think it got up to like 6,000, 7,000 fans. I could be wrong, but
That's awesome.
That was cool. Yeah, you strike somebody out and the crowd goes nuts. And you're like, all right, let's go.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, Alex, we appreciate your time. Welcome to Los Angeles. Welcome to the Dodgers. Best of luck this season, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The best team holding a trophy high in the air. The Los Angeles Dodgers, champions of the baseball world.